The derailleur snapped off. This is a sub $900 mountain bike that you don't need to upgrade. It has a dropper post, it's got air suspension front and rear, tubeless tires, through axles, boost spacing, and a whole lot more that you don't even see. This is the last Walmart bike I will ever review. There is no reason for me to do it anymore because there's nothing I've asked for that they didn't deliver here. This is not sponsored. I pre-ordered this with everyone else before it sold out on day 2. And now I'm literally taking it apart to try and find something critical to say about it. Everybody who I run into and talk about this bike, he just can't believe it's $900. He's on his 3rd lap right now. So then what can I say about it? Well, it's the cheapest bike you can get with all of these things, so where did they save the money? What kind of mountain biking is it really for? How does it feel? What are its limitations? And what is likely to break first? We're digging into all of that. But first, what makes the FS.3 different? So, if you saw my review on the FS2, this bike's $450 predecessor, you know I was critical about it. To give you a TLDR, I said the FS2 needed upgrades to be a truly competent trail bike. Some of you disagreed with me. That bike has a passionate following. But the truth is, if you were to spend $900 buying an FS2 and upgrading it, you couldn't make it as good as this bike, not even close. The frame and the linkage are better. The hubs have sealed cartridge bearings. It comes with a splined crankset and sealed external bottom bracket, which adds stiffness and water resistance. This has hydraulic disc brakes with lines routed through the frame. You'd need specialty tools to do that on your own. This has a UDH, which is a universal open source derailleur hanger that you can buy replacements for anywhere. This bike was clearly designed by mountain bikers outside and in. They know that people like me are going to take this bike apart and reveal its innards to the world. Thanks to us, that's the name of the game now. The best strategy is to build a bike with nothing to hide. It's all serviceable. There are no weird fitment issues. There's nothing truly annoying about it for the price. There's nothing on this bike that would truly hold you back for recreational mountain biking. And it costs less than anything like it. That's what's different about this bike. But with all that being said, you're still gonna have to keep your expectations in check. It's a $900 bike. So what is it actually for? Well, it's for mountain biking. It's a trail bike, an all-around mountain bike. You can go on trail rides or hit jumps all day. You can wake up and climb a mountain and then ride down. It's for whatever kind of mountain biking you want to do. But it would be considered a short travel trail bike at 120 millimeters. It's not ideal for plowing through rock gardens at light speed. But if you have friends with real mountain bikes and you want to go out and do all the things that they do, your main limitation with this is going to be skill and experience, not the bike. Now you could do all that on a hardtail, which is a mountain bike without rear suspension. It would cost less, weigh less, and perform great, but many people prefer full suspension bikes because they take the sting out of hard landings. They hug the ground better, and they tend to be faster downhill. But until recently, I wouldn't have recommended a full suspension bike in this price range, not even close. So this is gonna be your first real mountain bike. It's gonna be for when you step up from a truly entry-level mountain bike, something that actually might hold you back a little bit. But this is considerably more mountain bike than we've ever seen at this price point. Most of the major parts, like the brakes, suspension, and drivetrain, are name brand. So where did they save the money? They had to save it someplace. Well, the pedals are as cheap as it gets. These plastic pedals are not gonna last you very long. These nubs are definitely gonna wear down. You can see they went through the trouble of putting slots in them to make them look like actual screws, but make no mistake, this is all plastic and it's probably gonna be one of the first things you'll replace on this bike. These are the same style of cheap lock-on grips we've seen on many of these bikes, but on this bike, you can really feel how cheap they are because everything else feels so good. This is one of the first things I'd be replacing on this bike. It's so thin, you can barely even feel that there's rubber there. It's like the thickness of a napkin. The saddles on these bikes are always super cheap, and this is no exception. I don't know if it's the same as what we've seen before. I've had saddles on these bikes that have actually fallen apart, but yeah, it's there. It actually doesn't feel that bad. It's just probably not gonna last very long. And the fancy parts, like the dropper post, are all bare minimum. This has 100 millimeters of drop, which we'll revisit in a moment. Another place they save money, the assembly. This is not available in Walmart stores, and maybe that's a good thing. The assemblers at Walmart assemble everything, including patio furniture. If you're reasonably competent at putting things together, you'll be able to handle this, and you can take your time, unlike somebody who's getting paid by the bike. First of all, this is an alloy frame. These are cheap parts. Everything is heavy. You have to keep your expectations in line. But with that being said, I'm really impressed. Actually, I'm a bit surprised by how stiff this all feels, and that's probably because most bikes in this price range don't have through axles or splined cranksets. There are no weird flexing issues like I'd expect in this price range. That's a good thing. What I'm not surprised about is the weight. It feels heavy. That's probably because it is. I set these tires up tubeless, which we'll revisit in a moment, and this is a size small. It weighed in at almost 40 pounds, which means many of these will be over 40 pounds. That's like the weight of an e-bike practically. And for a 120 millimeter trail bike, that's really heavy, but we should all understand why. You can't make a bicycle durable, lightweight, and affordable. You can only pick two. Onto the drivetrain, which is made by Microshift. That's a good thing, but there's a fair bit of chain slap here. The chainstay does have a rubber protector on it. It shifts very smoothly, but the buttons are really stiff. This could be due to tight turns in the shift cable as it makes its way through the frame. Not a deal breaker, but worth noting. Now, historically, any full suspension bike I've tried under $1,000 made me wish I was riding a hardtail. That's not the case with the FS.3. This has a proper full suspension feel. It feels at least as good as other bikes between $1,500 and $2,000. But it's not nearly as plush or responsive as a high-end mountain bike. But you can do a lot in the way of adjusting the suspension, including the air pressure, rebound damping, and volume. And speaking of the air suspension, this might be the first bike with air suspension that many of you get if you're stepping up from a really entry-level bike. This is not like Suntour coil suspension that you can just neglect indefinitely. You have to service this, and so you're either going to need to get the tools and parts to do it yourself or take it to a bike shop. Now, when comparing this bike to its predecessor, these tires are way better. It's actually not that bad. There's nubs here. You're probably gonna tear these sidewalls open, but at least there's not peach fuzz here. So ride them, wear them out, and then get even better ones. But these are gonna be pretty good for tires that come with a bike like this. Now, one thing that makes my particular bike feel better is that I have it set up tubeless. These tires and wheels are tubeless ready, which means you can remove the inner tubes, install valves, add sealants, and run them at lower pressure with decent flat protection. If you tear open a sidewall, shredding the gnar, I won't be surprised, but that comes with the territory. As for the brakes, hydraulic disc brakes are usually one of the first upgrades I recommend on these bikes because it doesn't cost a lot to do. This comes with them. Name brand Tektro hydraulic disc brakes. Tektro, in my experience, is solid. These use 180 millimeter rotors front and rear without adapters. Upgrading to 203 millimeter rotors would be very easy and cost effective, but if you need that, you might be out over your skis on this bike. Unless you're a heavier rider, these should more than suffice. As for the dropper post, I'm surprised it has one. The lever feels fine to me, and actually, most dropper posts have some side-to-side play when you kind of wiggle the seat. This has almost none. But it's only 100 millimeters of drop. Even like 10 years ago, bikes would come with 120 millimeters of drop, and now they come with way more than that. This would be completely unacceptable in any other price range. Maybe it is here, but if I just spent $900 on a brand new trail bike, I'd appreciate any amount of dropper post. But that brings me to the limitations of this bike, and understandably, there are some you should know about. Yes, that 100 millimeter dropper post isn't ideal, but it gets worse. That bend in the seat tube would prevent you from swapping it to anything considerably longer. Truth be told, I have a size small, which is the most limited in that regard. On a medium or large, depending on your height, you could likely use a 125 millimeter or even a 150 millimeter post, but this is a limitation you cannot change. It is hard coded into the frame. Another hard limitation is the water bottle cage. Again, I have a size small frame, but it's not even close. I installed this water bottle cage and I couldn't get a standard water bottle in even slightly. I couldn't even mush it in there. And so this is something I'd like to see them change on future iterations. And so Walmart, I know you're watching, people like to carry water bottles. Now, aside from the dropper post insertion depth and the bottle clearance, the FS.3 has no other hard limitations. In other words, those that cannot be addressed with upgrades. Heck, this thing has a UDH, and so you can install a direct mount derailleur if you wanted to. You're really not limited by the frame itself. So in discussing soft limitations, we'll be talking about what components are likely to break first. Now, I mentioned before that these wheels and tires are tubeless ready. That means you can run low tire pressure. Yay! That also means you can smack your rim on stuff if you're going hard in the paint. Most rims can take a few smacks from a root or a rock, but I'm not inclined to think that these are most rims. If you ride hard or you're considerably heavy, you should run your tire pressure a little higher to protect these rims, which is going to cut into the traction and ride quality. If my experience serves me correctly, these rims are going to be a weak point. Next would come the pedals. Now, I mentioned them before. Do I think they're gonna break into a million pieces when they hit something? Probably not. They're probably gonna just mush into a pedal adjacent shaped object. That's what happens with these. First, the little pins wear away and they stop gripping, and then the whole pedal just becomes something else. If you crash, probably gonna bend this pedal spindle. These are gonna get replaced at some point, but that tends to be something that beginners really like to change to customize their bikes, are pedals, and so get good ones. Now, if you're doing some real mountain biking, you're bound to get into a crash with this bike. Anything is bound to break, but if I were a betting man, I'd say the handlebars would bend or the saddle would break into pieces. Ask me how I know how. And for those larger riders out there, and that doesn't always mean overweight, some of you are 6'4" and 250 pounds. In that case, I'd wager the wheels would be your first problem. But also, you might smoke this rear shock. Typically, the fork is a little more resistant to this, but that rear can, I wouldn't be surprised if it lives a short and violent life. Other than that, you're gonna break everything given enough time, effort, and creativity. Not because the parts are cheap, but because it's a mountain bike. And actually, it's enough mountain bike to get you into some serious trouble. Now, I mentioned before that you could ride alongside other people on high-end mountain bikes on this, and your main limitation will be skill and fitness. There are people here right now at Kanuga that I could absolutely smoke on this thing. And the best part, they wouldn't even know it was a Walmart bike until we got to the bottom. The styling on this thing is the best they have done so far. It's just murdered out, and it's got this tiny little logo over here that says Ozark Trail. It's not Ozark Trail in huge letters on the side advertising that you bought your bike at Walmart. Now look, I have absolutely no incentive to say good things about this bike unless I really mean them. Actually, I've kind of made my living ripping into Walmart bikes, and some of my best performing Walmart bike videos, like the ones that I did 10 years ago, are me just making fun of them. I never had anything against the fact that those bikes were cheap. It was that they were dishonest, is that they had all sorts of features and they were all terrible. If they had less features, they would have been better bikes. This has everything you need and nothing you don't. It is not fancy. It is a bare bones entry-level trail bike where they put all the money into the places they should. Half the things that are good about this bike are completely hidden and unrecognizable to a beginner who has never worked on a bike, like an external bottom bracket or cartridge bearings in the hub. They really did all the right things. And so what else can I say? This is what we asked for. It's here. My job is done. So we had some technical difficulties, so I just sent the blue line. Sending a jump line shouldn't be that violent, but The derailleur snapped off. So here's what happened. I went over to the jumps and ran into a very nice gentleman from Austin, Texas, and he was admiring my bikes and wanted to take it for a rip. What's up, man?
What's going on, dude?
Walmart bike test. It's like 900 bucks. You want to rip it?
Yeah, I'm gonna send it.
Oh, straight to the black line? No, no. And so he did, he dropped right into the black line and he sent all these jumps and he couldn't stop raving about how much he loved the bike for the price.
You mind if I take a couple more rips?
Yeah, take a couple more rips.
You mind if I put it in the back of the truck?
Everybody who has seen this today has been impressed. Then I got on it and the derailleur hanger snapped in half just from landing hard. And there are no marks on this derailleur anywhere. It didn't impact anything today. It just snapped. So this universal derailleur hanger that was on the bike was garbage. So I went into the pro shop and I bought a new universal derailleur hanger. That's the beauty of it. You can just buy it anywhere and replace it. And the derailleur is all folded in half. So I think when it snapped off, it got tangled up in the drivetrain. And so now we need a new derailleur. Now, is this something that Walmart would warranty? I have no idea, but it's a $900 trail bike with everything on it. It's not gonna be perfect. So, is the FS.3 the real deal? I think it is. Once Walmart sees this video, they're gonna be redesigning all those derailleur hangers. This thing's really impressive. It even looks good. It rode great today. But the type of quality control that you're gonna see, it costs money. It's what makes it more expensive. All that testing is expensive. And so you're not getting everything, but you're getting mostly everything. And so based on this, would I still recommend this bike? It's kind of hard not to. To get anything like this, you're generally spending like $1,500 to $2,000, and I don't see anything about this bike that's any worse. In fact, many of the things like the sealed hub bearings are better. And so I hope you found this video informative and interesting, and if you didn't, I hope you at least found it entertaining. Thanks for riding with me today, and I'll see you next time.